Hey, good afternoon, everybody. What's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal. How are you doing? May have to adjust the camera here a little bit. I'm seeing that right now. Oh, I think it's okay, I guess. A lot to talk about here. We've got to talk here. We've got a lot of stuff going on. I mean, this will come into play here in a little bit. I want to talk about what's your strategy to win. And it's funny because I'm like, well, what I want to talk about today, I really want to do a show today. And we're getting ready for the big show tomorrow when we go live again on News Talk 1040 AM in Tampa Bay. And it's going to be great. We kind of worked out some of the technical stuff. We had a little test earlier this week. Everything looks good. We already have a guest lined up for tomorrow, actually maybe two already. Tomorrow we should be joined by Professor Jim Liu from Johns Hopkins University, which is going to be awesome. We're going to be talking about technology, AI, all kinds of different things. So we'll check that out. But, you know, I want to talk about what's your strategy to win. And I thought about it, and we may be joined by some of my colleagues here later. We'll see what's going on here. We may be joined very shortly here. We'll see. And, you know, I was talking to, I don't want to get super specific. Well, I was talking to, like, you know, the general manager here, Tony Zeter, who's great, and Danny G, the general sales manager. But I was also thinking about stuff, and I've been talking to other leaders. And like I said, I mean, I'm nobody. I just know a lot of things. I know a lot of people. My phone gets hit up all the time by owners, general managers, general sales managers, executive general managers, all kinds of people hit up my phone and talk about different things and stuff. And it's funny because I talk to partners at law firms. I talk to doctors. I just talked to a doctor today. I mean, you know, people that own their own business, people that own their own clinics and stuff. I used to be in a venture fund with the former CEO of Apple. We talked about that. And I got to be a little bit careful not to be like too specific here, but it's really interesting because, and of course, I'm a talk show host. I like to be entertaining, so I'll preface it by that way. But I mean, sometimes I feel like this dog knows more than a lot of leaders out there, dude. This dog may have a better plan. I like this dog. May have a better plan for how to win. I'll give you an example. And how to look at things, right? I mean, when you look at this right here, what is this? Is it a phone? Is it a camera? Is it a Rolodex? Is it a computer? It's all of those things, right? And more. But how you look at this and how you use this is different for everybody out there. Are you using the tools right to win? And more importantly, what's your strategy to win? Do you have a strategy to win? Okay? This dog may have a better strategy than a lot of people. Here's what I mean by that. And I don't want to get too specific because I've had different conversations with different people. I know some people that are new owners and they're killing it, okay? And I look at other people that have been in the business that maybe they're second, third, fourth generation, or they're a bigger, and there's people that are struggling. And I told you that it was going to be the tale of two cities in this year. It was going to be some people are going to win and some people are going to lose. Tech is getting, there's now talk about a tech Armageddon that may be coming on. And it's so funny because I can just tell, like I'll be talking to people and like, oh my gosh, your resume is amazing. Oh man, we want to talk. And it could be some business leader. It could be someone from venture capital. It could be a partner at a law firm, or let's get together and all of a sudden ghost. And it happens all the time. If it's a one-off, okay, well, I don't know, maybe they got busy, or maybe they don't like their politics, or maybe they don't like that amount of motive, or whatever it is. But what's so funny is almost all these people are all trying to do what I'm already great at. Not great enough where I'm like Joe Rogan and okay, I understand. People made fun of Joe Rogan before Joe Rogan was Joe Rogan. You understand what I'm saying here? Like, what are you doing? They made fun of YouTube. Oh, this is cat videos. It's silly. Now you've got Mr. Beast, $54 million player in 1 year. In 1 year, more wealth in 1 year than most people work their entire careers, than almost any lawyer you can name, almost any doctor you can name, almost any investment banker you can name, almost any venture capitalist you can name. I mean, of course we know that there's the John Doers and the Mike Morrison, there's those people out there. We get it. But Mr. Beast had a plan, has a strategy, right? What I'm saying is what distinguishes, someone that's just following everybody else and someone that wants to be different and creative is a strategy and uniqueness and the willingness to take a risk, the willingness to be able to step out there, the willingness to be able to have people make fun of you or whatever it is. Because it's just so funny because all these people, all these professionals, it's weird. They're all trying to post and be something on an influencer on LinkedIn. They're all trying to, we need to do a TikTok strategy or whatever it is, you know. And I'm not about TikTok or anything like that, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, you know, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever it is now, right? And they don't know how to, they don't even understand, like there's very different, all these platforms are different. Even the video platforms are different, right? Periscope is different than YouTube, is different than TikTok, is different than, you know, Instagram, on and on and on. And how you do it. And so if you want to do what I'm doing, obviously I'm doing something right. I had someone call me up, I'm not going to put them on blast, very accomplished. And I don't want to put them on blast, but the conversation was basically, hey, John, how do you do YouTube? How are you so good at YouTube? What do I do? So it's very weird, right? So I want to get specific without getting specific. I want to have a scenario to sort of make it play out a little bit better. So think about this, right? Let's say that you are a candy shop, it doesn't matter, pizzeria, and you've, the best month you've ever had, you sold 1,000 pizzas. You've never sold more than 1,000 pizzas. You consistently sell about 700 pizzas. Actually, your best month you sold 900 pizzas. You want to sell 1,000 pizzas consistently, but you consistently sell 700 pizzas. Okay, cool. What's your plan to do that? What's your strategy to do that? Well, I think if we hire a bunch of pizza cooks, that'll be cool. We hire a bunch of pizza cooks. We'll sell it. You know, we'll make sure we have the cashier there, and we have instead of having 5 pizza cooks, we'll have 10 pizza cooks because each pizza cook can cook 10 pizzas. Okay, cool. But you've never sold more than you've been averaging 700 pizzas a month. You've never sold more than 900. Right. Huh. Why? See, nobody asked that question. Why? Why have you not sold more? Why have you not broken these records? How do you reverse engineer these things? How do you set it up? How do you think about how you get to that number? Who do you know that's selling that number? Well, the Domino's pizza down, you know, over by this college, they sell 1,000 pizzas. Cool. Well, what's the difference? Is it location? Is it customer access? Is it the college? Is it price point? What's the difference? Until you can understand your business or yourself or whatever it is, you could have a law firm. You could have, I spoke to, you could have a pizza shop. You could have a car dealership. You could have, a lot of different things, but you have to be able to figure out what is your goal and how do you get there. When I was training to become a national champion, that's my wife calling. She doesn't understand I'm doing a show, so I have to just let her know that. I had to figure out, okay, I looked at who won. What were the winning lists? What did I need to qualify? What did I need to realistically win my division? I mean, of course, you never know who's going to show up, if someone's going to break records or if someone's a super champion. I kind of, was able to, the year that I won my first national championship, I was at 220 pounds, and Scott Smith, who went on to compete with Ed Cohen and be almost, was breaking records, and 198 pounds. And I'm glad I wasn't in a 198 pound class player, because it would have worked out so good for me that year. That could happen. Okay. You can run into a Scott Smith and Ed Cohen and Michael Jordan, et cetera, right? So, but basically I had to figure out, okay, well, I didn't want to compete until I knew that I was ready to go. I had qualified for many years of national championship, but I didn't go until I was ready to really compete for a title, which is the first time I went to nationals, I won. I beat a lot of other people because I knew what I needed to take to win. And I actually had to reach in super deep to pull out that extra level and hit PRs to win. And I did. And it's an amazing story. I've told it before in the air, and I can tell it again. We're not going to do that today. Who knows, we might. But that's, we're not going to focus on that right now. But I had a strategy, I had a plan, and I had to think about, how do I reverse engineer this? Where do I need to be? What's my progression? How much time do I need? What lifts? Where can I make the gains on my lifts? Right? It's easier for me to move my squat than it is my deadlift. And then I can, and then the bench. You have to understand where you need to work, what you need to do. Similarly, if let's take automotive for instance, because I know that really well, right? If you want to sell, I don't know, pick a number, 200 cars in a month. The general rule of thumb is you need about 2x inventory. Right? Or you're going to sell, or look at it another way, you'll sell half your inventory. If you don't have 400 cars in stock, player, you may not sell 200 cars. It's kind of hard. Can it be done? Anything can be done, but it gets incrementally harder. You put another barrier there. So if you do not have that inventory, you're not going to sell those cars. Then you look at, okay, well, what's my inventory? What's my market? Does this market, how many dealerships in this market sell 200 cars? Of a similar caliber? Are they luxury vehicles? Is this a mass market? A Toyota store is going to operate very differently than a Lexus store even, right? And they're related brands, right? In my opinion, through Toyota Motor. But let's say a Toyota store is going to operate extremely differently than, let's say, Porsche, right? Those are very different. So in the same class of vehicle that you're in, how many stores sell X number of cars in your market? Is that doable for your market? If that's not doable for your market, then you need a plan to do what? To sell outside of your market, to bring customers to the store, to be able to reach people, to be able to get that message out there. Well, if we just do X, Y, and Z, no, it doesn't work that way. You have to have a realistic plan to do these things. You have to be able to figure it out and reverse engineer these things. You have to think about, what's my inventory? What's my turn rate? How operationally efficient am I? How's my personnel? How are my desking managers? How's my general manager? How's my general sales manager? Of course, then there's also the things on the service end, the shop, stuff like that, because there's also reconditioning and making sure these cars stand tall. Because if you can sell a car, but if you have a bunch of fixes that you need to do, now you have all these wheels going on and you have all that bogging you down, and that kind of follow up. If your CSI system's not, or SSI, whatever it is, it's not tight and right, then you have those kind of things that you got to worry about, and that kind of clean up, because the more you sell, then the more kind of follow up and clean up and different things that you have to do as well there. So if the things are done right in the first place, then are you operationally efficient? What's your pricing? How aggressive are you on pricing? Where's the market? What's happening with our lease? Are there good programs? Are there good buying programs, leasing programs, whatever? When you broke the record, what were the conditions when you broke the record? Did they have, super low interest rates, great programs, great incentives from the manufacturers? Did they have inventory, or is there supply chain issues? What if the banks? What if it's tough to get? What if the economy is really, really tough right now? It's hard to expect to break a record when you're in a super hard economy, right? So you have to, when I'm hearing out there, and I'm hearing it from all kinds of different sectors. I'm hearing like hotels cutting back on breakfast because they don't have the money. I'm hearing like nobody's hitting, not nobody. There's always somebody out there beating the market. That's what I'm talking about. You can't make the market, but you can beat the market. And I want to beat the market, but you have to have a strategy to beat the market, right? Unless you get lucky. People get lucky, but you're not going to get consistently lucky, right? Consistent victory means you need to have a consistent plan. You need to be able to roll it out. And so, when I come in here, I have a plan. I had a strategy before I even showed up. Again, I'm super part-time here, right? 4 days a week, whatever, and I'm expected to do crazy things, but I'm like, okay, here's the plan to do that. Here's the strategy to do that. Here's how I need everyone to buy into doing this, because this is how it's going to work, and here's how it's going to benefit everyone. Here's how we change the game. The point is, if you want to be dramatically better, you need to be dramatically different. You have to lay it out. If you don't have that figured out and lay it out, then it's not going to work. dude. It's just not going to work whatsoever, in my opinion. So I think right now, when times are tough and you're trying to figure out, how do I win? How do I, whatever it is, I want to meet the person of my dreams. I want to get married. I want to go to law school. I want to go to business school. I want to be an investment banker. I want to be a doctor. Whatever it is, you would need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy. You need to lay it out. If you cannot do that, then that's very, very problematic, in my opinion. So I think right now, like, we're seeing I see a lot of happy talk out there. I see a lot of happy talk out there right now, and it's just not good. I mean, it's fine. Like, I'm optimistic. Don't be negative. Okay, I get it. The law of attraction. Whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? This mental stuff, and that's fine. That's great, bro. I'm all about it, and you can do all that. But if you keep doing the same things, at the same inputs got you to a certain level, you need to change the game to switch it up to get to that next level. You need to have a plan for the next level, because I can tell you right now, as a national champion, stuff like that, the plan and the strategy and the work ethic and the workload and the intensity to get you to a 300-pound bench, it's very different than what it's going to take to get to a 400-pound bench or a 500-pound bench or a 525-pound bench, because I've done all of those things, right? And those are all very, very, very different numbers, extremely different numbers, okay? And you have to have a different plan for that. Getting a spot on an NFL roster is different than being a starter. Making the practice squad in spring training is different than summer practices is different than making the roster. It's different than being a starter. It's different than being a Pro Bowler. It's different than being a Super Bowl champion. It's different than being an MVP. Those are all very, very different things. And the mountain gets progressively higher. So are your goals realistic? Are they fact-based? Are they evidence-based? Have you analyzed those? What are they based on? What are you basing that on? Do you have, again, a realistic strategy and plan? And what I'm saying to you is a lot of people out there, they don't. Or they're just doing the same things. Or if we just do more of this, well, you can do more of all kinds of things, right? But if you have a funnel, I don't have the thing right. Let's see. If you have a funnel and you pour more and more gallons of it, you can pour a big water jug in that funnel and it's only going to go so fast. You can pour a whole fire hose in there and it's only going to go so fast, because it's limited by that gating on it. And so I just feel like, I can go through more specific things here. I just want to have a quick check-in right now, because we're really coming up on, and I'll save it a lot for the show tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. We're going to be on tomorrow. We're going to be live here on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, and we're going to be live on News Talk 1040 a.m., Greater Tampa Bay, and we're going to talk about it. I mean, we're going to talk about a lot of other things. We're going to talk about News Talk. We're going to talk about a lot of other things. But, we're almost at the end of Q2 right now, and we're almost at the end of the month as well. And I see some people that are doing well and some people that are really, really struggling. I think a lot of people are having, and it's like, which direction are you going to go? Where's it going to be? And there's a lot to talk about that, but I want to help people. I want to show them the way. Again, this is going to be news you can use and how to get better and how to improve and how to do more than that. And the thing is you can't be afraid of the pain. You have to understand that, like, I'll leave you with this. If you want to be great and you want to do things that are different, you have to have a strategy. You have to have a theory of the case, of what and why and how. And then you have to have a strategy on how to do that. Then you have to make that investment, because in a lot of ways, you're going to get worse before you get better. Like, you get a pro golfer, a great golfer, or baseball. I've seen the same thing. I've trained a lot of professional baseball players. And if you have a hitting coach, if you're trying to tune the swing or change the swing, whatever, the minute you start messing with how that golfer or, and I work with some like long drive people, so I knew there's some similarities there. And some baseball players that were pretty good golfers, etc. But as soon as you start messing with that swing in any way, or even the physique in any way, like it's going to shift things and throw things off a bit, probably a little bit like a quarterback, right? So you have to understand. So in some ways, you have to get worse before you get better. You're going to have to make that investment. Very few businesses, even in entrepreneurship, extremely few businesses start out like bangers and they're just making tons of profits immediately. No, you've got to make that capital investment, that time investment. You've got to be able to put it in. People want instant gratification, or they haven't done the analysis, so they're just doing more of what everyone else does, and then they blame everybody else when it doesn't work. Like, no, dude, if you want to be a leader, then you got to lead, and that involves risk. The risk risk and reward go very much hand in hand. You have to understand that. You have to be able to, I mean, Joe Rogan, Mr. Beast, myself, other people, like, people were being made fun of. It was hard. You were making no money before it all worked out. You know what I mean? And it's like, nobody wants to know. That's the thing. Like nobody wants to talk about the grind, about the suffering, about the hardship, about I see this other thing, but like nobody cares about the excuses and stuff. And that's there's a lot of truth to that. But but that can be that may or may not be true. But let's say even that that's true, but don't get that twisted. That doesn't mean that there aren't challenges, there aren't sacrifice, there isn't risk, because there is. Not making a decision is a decision. Doing what everyone else does is a decision, right? You will not be great copying other people and just doing what everybody else does. That's a strategy and recipe for not losing. That's a strategy for being mediocre. That's what it is. I would constantly work and constantly reinvent. I'm always thinking about different things. What can I do? How do I do for doing these shows? I could be doing a bunch of other things right now. I could be calling customers. I could be waiting for ups. I could be doing all kinds of other stuff. I'm making the investment in this because I believe in this. Because when this flywheel, look at Patrick Bet-David, when this flywheel gets going, oh, John, nobody's what? Okay, well, really? That's funny, because I get hit up all the time from people that watch these. It's not about what's happening now. It's about what happens later. It's about having a catalog. It's about having a history. It's about saying that, hey, I did a show about 6 months ago, 1 year ago, where I predicted this. And people can go back and, oh man, he did. Holy smokes. And I did it again and again and again and again and again and again. And I was right about business. I was right about the markets. In my opinion, all my personal opinion on knowledge and facts, not kind of person. I was right about business, right about markets, right about politics, right about technology, right about the bubbles out there and crypto and all these things, and the tech hubs and tech hub in Miami. I was right about all of these things. So all of a sudden it's like, woo, it looks a little different. So you have to make a strategy, you have to make a plan. You have to figure out what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go. And then you have to, you have to have a theory of the case. You have to make sure that you're up for it, that you want to do this. You have to have a strategy. Then you have to make the investment. And then you have to go out there and you have to be operationally efficient and execute, do what you need to do. So much more to talk about. This is just skimming the very, very, very easy surface here. But I really want to talk about that because I was just talking to people and I could see like, some people maybe were having a bad month or a good month or this and that, whatever, or weren't having a good month, and we've turned it around and we got some momentum here, and I had good conversation with leaders here, and I'm like, look, if you want to do X, this is what it takes. Boom, 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 boom. This is what I see. Boom, 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 boom. And it's like, dude, you have to understand that these things, again, I don't want to get too specific, but it's like you have to have evidence-based stuff. How, why, and et cetera, like that. Anyway, way more to talk about. I'm going to save a lot for tomorrow. I know we will be joined by we should be joined by Professor Lou. We may be joined by my brother. We may be joined by some other people. We're line-up guests, but I don't want to get like super guest heavy. And obviously there's a lot in the news we're going to talk about. There's a lot of other things, and you never know what I'm going to talk about. That's what's so great. That's why you got to tune in. Tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m., live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, and of course, we're going to be live on News Talk 1040 a.m. Greater Tampa Bay, WHBO. Love it. Hey, have a great Sunday.